Very true.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, you asked me about me starting off performing and all of those things, and I told you about that. So, what is your journey to where you are? Like, how did you start? How did you become confident as an artist? How did you even decide to start indie friendly? All of that. Tell us about that.
All right. Well, y'all go get y'all some popcorn and go fill y'all cups up. Let's get into it. All right. So I've been involved with music from a child, primarily from my mother and my brother, my eldest brother, both of whom are now deceased. But I've been listening to music at home since birth. And then early on in elementary school, I attended Hobby Elementary School for fine arts. And that's why I was introduced to choir and band and stuff like that. And I was always drawn to play instruments. So I started out, my first love is always drums. And then I started on the xylophone and then the piano. And so I've been introduced to a lot of instruments, and I'm familiar with a little bit of a lot of them. And I matriculated to middle school and high school, still involved in music and choir in middle school, and in the marching band in high school, and also in the jazz band in high school. So I got my formal education, like with my music theory and all of that kind of stuff, in school. But I always knew that there was something natural about my ability to create music just from me singing around the house or me mimicking the things that I heard on the radio. We listened to a lot of gospel in my house. So I used to mimic the gospel singers, and in emulating what I was hearing, I started to kind of find my own singing voice, but nobody knew that I could sing until like I was maybe 23 or something like that. Nobody really knew. I did not have the courage to sing in front of people for a very long time. So I started out participating in what we call the music industry as a producer. I was making beats. I started that in high school when I was 15 or 16 years old. So I started there, and I was looking for artists to like pair up with. Maybe my music would be good enough, their lyrics or their rhymes or their vocals would be good enough, and it'd be a match made in heaven. That never happened. And primarily is because the music that I was composing at the time, it was not something that you would hear on the radio, nothing like that. And it's crazy though. The stuff that I was producing way back in 2002, some of those sounds that I was using are now prevalent today in hip hop. So like maybe I was just too early. I don't know. But the way I was producing back then, that's what's going on now. But when I used to let people hear my beats, they'd be like, "Nah, this sound like some space age stuff." I'd be like, "For real? You ain't jamming this, man? It's jam." Like, "No, man." I'm like, all right. So I stopped reaching out to people after a while. And I thought, what if I, got on my own stuff? I knew I could sing a little bit. I knew I could rap a little bit, but I didn't have the courage to perform. I just did not. I didn't, I'm really a shy person. And sometimes it's hard to tell when people hear me speak, or especially if I'm hosting. They may think I have all of the boldness in the world, but I don't. So I didn't have the courage to perform. So it took me some trips to karaoke when I was in college, singing some cover songs to get the jitters out, man. Because I used to be so scared to speak on a mic and then hear my voice come back through a speaker. Like I just wasn't ready. And so I started with karaoke. And then I'm like, okay, I'm getting a couple claps. This may not be that bad. And then I started writing. And this was in college, so I was like 20 or 21. I was a senior. And once I start writing my first couple songs, I started recording at the studio this guy had in his house. And then I would listen back and I'm like, man, this sound, like it could probably be a real song. But I still was not ready to perform. To perform took the longest. It took the longest because I was not a performer. I didn't have any charisma on stage. And so I went to the Red Cat Jazz Cafe one time. And I had this song called On My Nerves. And it's this singer, Kaya Hicks. Everybody know who Takaya Hicks is. But she used to sing on, I think it was the second or third Sundays at the Red Cat Jazz Cafe. It's when I had just graduated from Jackson State, came home and wanted to do an open mic. And she was the one who was in charge of bringing people up for the open mic during the intermission of her set. And so I went up to her. I was like, hey, my name is Sid. I just want to perform one song. If that's okay. She looked at me like, okay, so what you do? I'm like, well, I kind of sing and kind of rap. So she was like, okay, Sid, I'm gonna give you a shot. I'm gonna put you up. I was like, okay. So I'm sitting back, chilling, and artists after artists have now gone up, and like I'm still sitting there. And so I went back and reminded her, like, hey, Kaya, I can still. She's like, oh, I got one more, y'all. I got one more. What you say your name? I wasn't Sid the man there. I was just Sid. I'm like, oh, my name is Sid. Okay, we got Sid coming up here, y'all. I don't know what Sid is about to do, but y'all show him some love. So I got the band to play this I guess rhythm or this beat, and I just started singing my song On My Nerves, and the place went crazy. But the whole time I was up there, my leg was shaking, like my knee. I never forget my kneecap was shaking. I was so scared, man. I'm telling you, I was not a performer. But as time went on, and as I guess started working on those 10,000 hours, I was like, man, I need to be in front of folks. And my thing was like, man, what if somebody from school see me up here doing this? They ain't gonna believe it's me on this thing. Because I was not in the choir at church, really. And if you would have told somebody from high school that I was gonna grow up to be a singer or performer, they would be like, hell no, see it? No.
I want to speak on that because when I first started, everybody knows that Kay is my co-host, and I didn't have any idea how I wanted to do my show, right? I knew what I wanted. I had no idea how it was going to come about, but I knew that I had to set the vibe. I knew that I could do that because I'm a teacher. I know how to come in and set the vibe of a classroom. I know how to do that. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in, I'm going to set the vibe of this classroom. You're going to notice my classroom now. You walk through those doors in my room. You know what I'm saying? So that was my world. So I knew how to be in that space. That was not a performance space to me. You know what I'm saying? That was a I don't want to know what I would call that, but that was my life. I am a teacher. I am an educator. So but stepping into I am a performer is a whole different thing, And I remember when there was a transition that happened in me within one of those first few shows where I realized I am a performer. People see me as a performer. They don't see me as the organizer of the show. That's not what they see me as. Right. They see me as a performer. And then I had to take that on and say, okay, I am. My name is Zen Ase, and I have a weekly podcast called Zennurgy, which is fuel for the mind, body, and soul. And this is the Zennurgize Your Life Goal Setting Package, Volume 1. It comes with the workbook, a journal, stickers, a bookmark, tabs, and a QR code where you can find my podcast. And inside this workbook, you're going to have 16 different principles. The first one, I'm going to show you mine, is abundance. You have a place to put pictures that inspire you of role models, also pictures of goals that you want to create, goals, journal prompts, meditations, affirmations, all kinds of things to help you focus on this principle to better your life. And like I said, there's 16 principles. So this is a $15 package that comes with all of these things I've shown you, $21 with shipping and handling, and you can get it at laughsandlyrics.com. So Zennurgize your life with me. Thank you.